righty, folks. Well, there's a hum in the city and a quiet rumbling in the air, which means it's only one thing. We need some theme music. Phil, get on that for me if you would.
No,
All
you're
right. In the morning, citizens of Qumulo Nation, it's a Thursday, which means it's time for another lovely Qumulo webinar. Coming at you from the shadow of Cheyenne Mountain in growing region number 6, where we're growing fat squirrels. I'm Will Stroh, and joining me today is a warm-hearted human being and a cold-blooded sport engineer all the way from the Beast Coast. It's Phil Pereira.
Hey everyone.
We have combed through the feature log, which, is not saying a whole lot because it doesn't have really long hair. But we're going to bring you what we think are the most important changes out here. There are certainly other changes. So, anytime you want, you can search for Qumulo core feature log on docs.qumulo.com and pull up the latest and greatest. With that being said, let's jump into things, and I will preface this with the exciting stuff is towards the tail end, just letting you know in advance. As with most Qumulo releases, we will do minor incremental changes for big things throughout the dot releases there. And the big coming thing this go around was the Cloud Data Fabric. So while we don't have a whole lot of groundbreaking changes in some of these minor releases, there were a lot of under the cover changes. So that being said, let's hop into things here. Where we left off last go around, we're on the 6.3 chain, I believe it was. So between there and the 710 or 701, not a whole lot of exciting things. We do have the support for the platform out there. Hooray. The big thing here was the NFS and SMB small write improvements. We were able to do some batching involved there. I have heard numbers detailing somewhere in the neighborhood of about 30% improvement. Obviously, your mileage is going to vary on that. So don't quote me on that number, but it is significant if you are on some earlier release. I would highly recommend going to that. If you're already past this, well, you get those fixes for free. Additionally, we fixed a snapshot bug where if you set it for if it was an hourly snapshot, then what ended up happening is it used that time as your go-to time. So if you wanted it for every 4 hours, you could actually get off by a couple hours depending on when you set it. All told, though, nothing terribly dramatic or overly exciting there outside of the NFS performance and the SMB performance. That is a quarterly roll-up in that upgrade, or rather an instant upgrade on that one. We do have a platform upgrade coming up here real darn quick. Whoa, 7101. This is a platform, so you need to do either a rolling reboot or a full reboot. As with any and all platform updates, we always say if you can take the outage, it's great because it gets everything done at one fell swoop. Not necessary by any stretch, but it does make things go a little bit quicker when you have very large clusters. In support side, our rule of thumb is about 10 minutes per node. So real quick, if you just got a basic 4-node cluster, great. You're looking at sub an hour out there. If you are some of our larger customers and have 1, 2, or 300 node clusters, now you're talking a substantial amount of time. So depending on how things work out for you, plan appropriately and see where you can go with that. With this release, we did get more NFS improvements, both on version 3 and 4.1. Basically, the way it works is we took those improvements we made on version 3, pushed them up to the 4.1 side of things. The exciting bit here was the Active Directory global catalog. We now support that. So if you are a giant multinational corporation and have Active Directory sites all over the place, this is probably a great feature for you. If you are our aforementioned little 4-node cluster, probably doesn't mean a whole lot to you in the big scheme of things. Moving along, and if anyone has any questions, by all means, please feel free to throw them out there in the chat. We are happy to answer those questions as they come up. So with 7.2, we're getting on the cusp of global namespace. We're just about there, and so not a whole lot came out here. The big things, as you can see here, we did the prefetcher performance and some versioning support for S3 things. Again, not a whole lot, but Then we got global namespace, which is where all the excitement takes place.
Okay, 7.3.0. So this quarterly is an instant upgrade type. This quarterly is going to include all the upgrades that came between 7.2 and 7.3. Starting from the top here, we introduced cloud native Qumulo on AWS and Azure, available on the Nexus site. So if you wanted to deploy a Qumulo cluster in your own AWS or Azure environment, you can head over to Nexus and you can download cloud native Qumulo for either your AWS or Azure environment and kick the tires with a nice performant Qumulo cluster in the cloud. In the cloud, we do support a minimum of 3 node clusters on this release, which is one short than on-prem. On-prem is a minimum of 4, but with cloud native Qumulo, we support 3 nodes in 7.3.
And one thing, I was going to say, one thing to keep in mind with those 3 node clusters is the erasure coding is such that it is a 1 node or 1 drive failure, as opposed to the typical 1 node or 2 drive failure on those.
Thank you, Will. Yeah, good point. Along with that, we also released the Qumulo core package, which comes in both a Debian or Deb and an RPM format. So this Qumulo core package, you can find information about it on our docs.qumulo.com page. It is how you would deploy a Qumulo cluster by using your own Linux distribution, whether it's Debian-based or Red Hat Rocky, and you can install the Qumulo core package, build out 4 nodes, build a cluster, and then kick the tires with Qumulo core package and just license Qumulo on your own hardware and your own OS of choice. This puts a lot of the OS powers in your hand, and we would just live as Qumulo within your OS home. Also, we introduced a new feature with our SMB closed sessions to give us the ability to close a session based on a share name. So prior to this, you were able to close SMB sessions based on username. So any username you want to close a session for, you can do that. A client IP, or a location. So location normally points to a specific user logged into a specific directory, which, in failover scenarios or migration scenarios where you have a window where you want to migrate one share from one platform to another, or from one Qumulo to another, trying to coordinate getting all users off a specific share is very hard because you were limited to IP or username. So it would be a lot of closed session commands to knock them all out. So with this feature, we now allow you to close the session based on that share name. So you can say, okay, for this share that I'm going to be migrating at this time, when your maintenance window starts, you would close all sessions associated with that share name, migrate your share, and then once your users log back in, they'd be in the new share space. Next, we have 7.4.0 quarterly upgrade. This is also an instant upgrade type. Changes here were not substantial on the front end side, but there were a lot of internal fixes. We did remove the per node floating IP limit. It's now down to just 1 IP per node, and that helps a lot with different environments and gives customers a lot more flexibility with assigning floating IPs to the cluster. We also increased our S3 connection limit with using Qumulo as an S3 endpoint, gaining a lot of popularity with various customers of ours. We had a previous limitation of 5,000 S3 connections, and that's been bumped up to 8,000. We also added support for sharing S3 objects with pre-signed URLs. So if you're familiar with AWS and creating a pre-signed URL to share an S3 object, we've added support for that as well.
If anyone's actually running 8,000 open S3 limits, let me know in your Slack channel. I'd be really curious
seriously,
to see what's going on there. Seems like a very large number, but I was also in the boat of who needs more than 64 megs of RAM.
And now we're at 7.5, which was just released. This is a roll-up quarterly upgrade as well. The upgrade type here, I'm going to clarify a little bit. So it's an instant upgrade from 7.4.4, but 7.4.4, if you were on a version prior to 7.5 and you went to 7.4.4, that was a platform upgrade. So if you're on a version before 7.4.4, 7.50 will be a platform upgrade for you. If you are already on 7.44, then 7.5 will be an instant upgrade for you. And we'll get to the reasoning behind that. So in this roll up between 7.40 and 7.50, our cloud data fabric switched from being read-only support only to read-write, and read-write support is on by default. So all of our customers who are using Cloud Data Fabric today, if you're only using it in read-only mode, once you get up to 7.41 or up to 7.50, you'll be able to use Cloud Data Fabric in read-write. And I would actually suggest you go up to 7.50 because with every Qumulo core release, there are a lot of back-end internal performance improvements to Cloud Data Fabric. As well with the 7.50 release, it includes neural cache implementation for all of our brand newly built cloud clusters. What this does for your cluster in the cloud is it has a more intelligent caching mechanism that prefetches data from object store into your cache space and really helps customers with workflows that are very read intensive and scattered across many different files. We aggressively and intelligently pull data into the cache. So this is activated as long as the cluster is built on that specific version. There will be options for upgrading to neural cache in the short-term future, but today with 7.50, the cluster has to be built on a version that supports neural cache in order for it to be active in the cloud. We've also changed our support for cloud-based customers to have a minimum of one node and support up to 1 or 3 nodes. So this allows customers to deploy a single node cloud-native Qumulo cluster on either AWS or Azure. And then you have the ability to expand if you need more compute power up to 3 nodes, and then the ability to shrink down to back down to 1 node if desired. So
now, Phil, if I have a one node cluster, can I support one node being down?
We will support you, but your cluster won't support actually running with 1 node being down on a 1 node cluster.
Man, it's always something.
Yeah, unfortunately, you need a node to run the software, and if the single node is down that runs the software, we're kind of limited. But we will support you in making sure it comes back up. Just reach out to your customer success team. Also, one of the big changes here, and reason for the little complexity in whether this was a instant type from 7.44 or a platform type upgrade if you were on a version before 7.44, is because our Ubuntu version changed from 20.04 to 24.04, which is the latest long-term supported version. With this comes a lot of changes on the OS side, brand new kernel, and that's the reason why 7.44 was a platform upgrade, because we were changing the underlying OS that the Qumulo core version is running on. So we expect to see a lot of customers who upgrade to 7.44 or 7.50 to take a nice little performance boost from the brand new kernel. Another thing that we've introduced in 7.50 is SSD endurance notifications in the web UI. So what this will do for you is if you have an SSD on a Qumulo node that is approaching its wear levels, as we all know, SSDs have a finite number of write cycles that they can take before their cells start to degrade. When you start approaching the various wear levels, you will start getting a banner now from 7.50 and up in your web UI indicating, hey, your SSD's at 20% life remaining, 15% life remaining. Reach out to your customer success team to talk about your options. And then the other big change that's come out in 7.50 is our authoritative DNS, which we are also calling QDNS. Traditionally, with Qumulo, as you're all aware, we rely on DNS for round robining your floating IPs. So you would go into your DNS, create all your different static A records for all your floating IPs, and have your DNS do round robining. In order to be a little bit more efficient in terms of balancing based on connection counts and not solely rely on DNS, which is a very simplistic round robining mechanism, we've introduced our authoritative DNS. So with this, you would go into your DNS server and you would create a DNS delegation record that would point back to the Qumulo. And then the Qumulo, using our QDNS or authoritative DNS, you would run a QQ command to specify, hey, I am the authoritative DNS for this delegation name. And then anytime your clients try to connect to the Qumulo cluster and they reach out to DNS will then ask the Qumulo, hey, what IP do you want me to return back to the client? So simplifies DNS configuration, adds intelligence in terms of load balancing clients on the Qumulo side, and I think overall big win-win for all our customers.
Bill, how long have customers been asking for
that? I do not know exactly. Probably longer than I've been at Qumulo. But it's here now.
It's here now. That's
it's
what matters.
Now. That's what matters. What matters, it's here now. I mean, hey, listen,
we heard your pleas.
Works. This is just more efficient.
All right. Well, that pretty much covers the roll-up. So if you got a couple other things to keep in mind here, just want to shoot these out there as we can. One, we're on Reddit. Holy smokes. What have we been waiting for? So years ago when I started here, I've been about 6.5, 7 years ago, I started documenting every little tip and trick I could on a big long web page. And the plan was to actually take over the Qumulo Twitter account and post those out there. Well, marketing wouldn't give me the keys to the Twitter account, but they did give me the keys to the Reddit account. So if you head out to reddit.com/r/Qumulo, there is a guy out there named Qumulo Will. That would be me. And every couple days or so, we'll post some little one-liner out there, some tips out there, whatnot. There are other people in sport doing things as well. I'm just the chatty one. And additionally, we are doing Critters of Qumulo. So if you want to see pictures of cute dogs, go out there as well. Just opened it up this morning, so you can see the cartel of chihuahuas that we have. And lastly, we are doing summer school. These are going to be short little webinars the next 3 months. We'll be talking about network troubleshooting, how to handle nodes offline, some hardware stuff. And if you're a fan of Indiana Jones' The Last Crusade, we'll be doing some Egyptology out there as well. So please, by all means, look forward to those. Like I said, they will be shortened things. They will be very targeted towards the topic at hand. So in the case of network troubleshooting, it's going to open up with, why do I think I have a network problem? What can I do? And any of these things out there, it really just gives you as in customers or administrators more ammo for when you open up the Slack channel and say, hey, I have a problem. I've done X, Y, and Z. Let's just skip over that stuff and just get right to the heart of the matter, which, believe it or not, your support engineer will love you for, because we don't want to have to go through all that stuff either. So that being said, please be on the lookout for that. These will probably take place towards the tail end of the month, since that's when my schedule frees up usually. So look forward to those. I expect them to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 15 to 30 minutes each. So not a big chunk out of your day, hopefully. And with that, I will let you get back to your day here. We finish another webinar in 20 minutes or less. So it is just like a regular summer school webinar. It's great. All right, folks. Well, I'm seeing any questions out there. So if you do think of some after the fact, or if you have any thoughts or feelings, or for that matter, if there is stuff that you would like to see in future webinars, by all means, please reach out in your Slack channel. Drop us a line out there. And as we opened with, if you do have any questions about the feature log, just go look for Qumulo Core Feature Log on docs.qumulo.com. It'll be the first hit on there, and you'll be good to go. All righty, folks. Well, you guys have a good day out there. And if you see any talking dogs, be sure to feed them tacos.